Hello, my name is Jenny Nading, and this is my video on the Cuisenaire rods and fractions for the theory class for Math 1100 with Kendall Jacobs. The first problem that we're going to talk about is 3/4 plus 1/3 using the Cuisenaire rods. What we need to do is to first determine what our denominator would be, and knowing our multiplication facts, we know that our denominator is going to be 12. So to demonstrate 12, we are going to do, we can either draw an orange rod to equal 10, or we can keep adding. So I think to demonstrate my knowledge, I'm going to keep adding the Cuisenaire rods together until I get the common denominator. So what I'll do here first is I will double my 4 rod. And hopefully you can determine between the 2 rods. And then since I added 2 for this one, I need to add 2 for this. Well, I know that having 3 Cuisenaire rods does not equal to the 2 purple rods. I only have 1 of these, but I know just by putting this over it that there's 1 and then there's 2, and I still have some left. So I'm going to add another one. What I'm probably going to have to do is kind of improvise. Okay, so that equals my 3 purple rods. We'll do one here. Well, I know that I actually need 1, 2, 3, 4 greens. So I'm just going to put that down here, and then I'm going to move down so I can demonstrate. So having 4 light green rods and 3 purple rods, that means that our common denominator is going to be 12, because counting 3 times by 4 is 4, 8, 12, and counting 4 times by 3 is 3, 6, 9, and 12. So I'm going to demonstrate my common denominator by condensing the rods down. So now I'm going to demonstrate. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Here is my 10 rod, which is orange. And to demonstrate the 12th, the 2 unit part of that, it's 1 red rod. So my common denominator is 12. And I also, before we continue any further, I need to remember to say that whatever we do to the bottom of our fraction, we do to the top of our fraction. So since I have 3 purple rods, I need to have 3 light green rods. So there's 1, 2, 3. So this is 3, 6, 9. And then since I have 4 light green rods, I need to have 4 white rods. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So to demonstrate how that looks as the fraction, I have 3, 6, 9. And the 4 white ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Three, 6, 9, and this is our 12. Okay, so how many rods do we have on the top? Well, we have 13. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All over our common denominator, which is 12. But in order to condense that even more, I see that I can put, if I draw a line right here, and if this was my rods, I would show that I have 12 up on the top using 3 light green rods and 3 white ones that equal the whole, which is 12. So we can demonstrate our whole is 1. And then I have 1 left over. So if these were to all be white instead of my light greens, I'll put over here 1 white equals 1/12. And I had 1 white left over. So I know that 3/4 plus 1/3 is 1/12. And to quickly demonstrate finding the common denominators in just regular math, just to ensure that I did do this right. And indeed, it turns out that these turned out to be the same answer. Okay, the next one I'm going to show you is 5/6 divided by 1/2. I struggled a little bit with this, so I hope how I come across it makes sense and I can show that I understood what I was talking about. So, by looking at our denominators, we have a 6 and a 2. We're going to use a 6 as the bigger number because I know that 2 goes into 6. And so I'm going to demonstrate that with 1 green rod, which is my whole. And then how many halves are in my dark green rod or my 6 rod? There's going to be 2, which will be demonstrated with my light green. So we have 2. And there's 1 there. Then I need to know how many 6 are in a whole. With that, I need to use my white cubes. Well, there's 6 of those. Okay. Then what I need to do is I need to know how many light green go into 5 white. So I need to know how many light green go into 5 white because we're wanting to know what half of 5/6 is. So just by looking at this, I can see that I know for a fact that 1 light green goes into 3 of them, and then we are left with, we still have some left over because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we had 3 goes into that. So we're left with our 2 white ones. So it's there's just a bit left over. I would need to take this number 3 rod and make it into 3 white cubes so that I could break it up. And if I were to do that, then I would have 2/3 left over. So I have 1 whole. And then it would be 2/3. To demonstrate or to double check my work, because I like to double check my work with the way that I know how to do the math. Three goes into 5 one time, we're left with 2. So indeed, those 2 answers match. Okay, the next problem was 3/4 minus 1/3. And for this one, we do need to have a common denominator. And just by knowing my multiplication facts, I know that the common denominator for a 4 and a 3 is 12, so I'm going to demonstrate my common denominator with a 10. And then one red cube, which is 2. So this is 12. And again, if I wanted to go the longer route, I could continue adding my rods together till they matched up like I did in the first problem with the addition. Then what I need to do is, since I know that I used 3 purple, I need to have 3 light green. So just to make it a little easier. One, two, three. So this becomes 9 twelfths, and I'm subtracting it, so I'm going to have to do my minus here. Draw my rods for my next part so I can demonstrate. Okay, and I know that I would need to use 4 of my 3s, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know I need to have 4 white ones on the top. So this is still 12, and this is 4. I've not changed the value of these other fractions because I can even, off to the side, 3 goes into both of these. There's that one, and 4 goes into both of these. So just to show I haven't changed the value. So now I need to take 4 white ones from the 9. So I'm going to just cross them out. And in order to do that, these green would need to turn into 1s, or the white rods. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The denominator doesn't change because we have not changed the value of the bottom. But I know that this would become 5 twelfths. I'm going to double check my work just really quickly. Nine minus 4, 5 twelfths. And my answers match up. Okay, the next one I'm doing is 3/4 divided by 1/3. So I know that the 12 is the common factor, or the denominator between the two, so I'm going to demonstrate that with my 1 orange rod. And 1 red rod. And then I need to know how many thirds are in this hole, which this is now the hole. How many thirds? Let's find out. Actually, I'm going to start with my fourths. My fourths first. So there's 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, and there's my 3/4. Shows 3/4. Now I need to know how many thirds. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to know how many purple go into 3 light green. How many purple go into 3 light green? Because we need to know, we're wanting to know 1/3 of 3/4. So here's our, I'm going to draw a line right here. So there is our 3/4. So let's see, we have 2 holes, and we're left with a bit. When we're left with a bit, we separate it into 4 white cubes. So then I'm left with 1 out of 4 pieces. So that becomes 1/4. So I'm left with 2 and 1/4. I'm going to check my work. And those numbers match. Okay. Next, I needed to do an area model. I'm hoping that I'm doing this right. I couldn't get the website to work. I kept downloading the plugins and it just wasn't working. So I looked at other resources to hopefully understand the area method or the model. So what I've done already, what I've taught my students is that the denominator is how many parts are in the whole. So there's 4 parts in one whole square, and then 3 of those parts are shaded. I'm going to shade in a light color just so I can make that next step a little easier to see. So I know that 3 parts are shaded. But now I'm multiplying it by 1/3. So my next step is I need to separate this square horizontally 3 ways. So we have 1, 2, 3. I need to know 3/4 times 1/3. So what I do is I just go 1/3. So, and now I'm not looking at it separately. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3. So I see that this is that is colored in. So that in turn makes this be, there's 3 shaded, 3 out of 12, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3 going down, so that's 12. So 3 out of 12, or 3/12. Let me double check my work really quick. And yes, indeed it's 3/12. Okay, the last problem is 4/5 of 2/3. I've already broken the square up into 5 parts of a whole. I need to shade in 4 of those parts. Okay, and then I, again, horizontally, now I separate it into thirds. My line got a little crooked there. It's not very even. Now I'm coloring in two of those thirds, so I can already see that 4/5 times 2/3 indeed equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 15, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 times 1, 2, 3 is 15, which can be, well, I thought it was broken down. I was looking at my notes. Anyway, so the answer to this, I think, is 8/15. So let me double check this last one. Okay. That concludes my final seminar for the theory class that goes along with Math 1100. I hope that I was able to show you that I understood what I was doing. I understood the area model first before I started really studying the other parts. So when it came time to do the area model, at first I kind of forgot what I had taught myself. So hopefully I showed you what it is that I know how to do and the knowledge and how to apply it. Thank you, and have a great night.